Hey guys, this is Dark Side of the Ring, Magnum TA. They called it Shattered, the Magnum TA story. For obvious reasons. I will say this wasn't one of the best ones that they've done. They were soft for one thing. But for another thing, they glossed over a lot. You know, they just barely looked at some things, and it was like, okay. I think Jim Cornette was the most straightforward of the bunch. Don't get me wrong, I think Magnum himself was very honest. He's basically, I was a lousy husband the first time around, and I tried to make it better the second time around, you know. But they did not mention that his second wife was actually the ex-wife of Tully Blanchard. That the children, well, they do have two of their own, but the children that he raised were Tully Blanchard's children. I'm sorry, that should have been mentioned. Especially when she mentioned that her name was Blanchard Allen. It should have been mentioned that was Tully's ex. Just should have been, in my opinion. I know the show wasn't about Tully, but they're forever intertwined because Magnum raised Tully's kids. They look at Magnum as their dad, sadly, because of Tully's issues back then. And Tully will tell you, he had a lot of issues with drugs and stuff, and it cost him his family, you know. And I think that, don't mind me, if you watched last video, you know I'm putting my CDs in the case. At any rate, so they could have said somewhere along the way that, hey, this is Tully's ex. You know. Yeah, we were both going through a divorce. Yeah, you were. And you were Tully's wife. You didn't just meet. You know, I think they knew each other. They had to have known each other to some degree. Especially since not only did him and Tully work together closely, they were huge rivals, which Tully should have been a part of it, and he wasn't, because he was one of his big rivals. His only big rival mentioned was Nikita. And don't get me wrong, it wouldn't have been Magnum TA without Nikita Golov. That being said, Tully Blanchard should have been there too. Because right before Nikita, he was his biggest rival. They had an I Quit match in a steel cage at Starrcade 85 to blow off their feud over the television championship. They never mentioned that he was television champion. Mentioned the U.S. title, but never mentioned the television title. To understand, the U.S. title is the stepping stone to the world title. And everyone knew. the Magnum's going to be world champion. There was no secret. The NWA board had approved it, and the next step was he was going to be world champion. As a matter of fact, Ric Flair, because of what's called kayfabe, which is keeping the business looking as real as possible, so that the bad guys couldn't visit the good guys or whatever in the hospital and stuff. They had to sneak Ric Flair and some of the other heels in through a back way at midnight, well after visiting hours, to visit him. And one time, Flair came in with a copy of the 10 pounds of gold. He laid it across, diagonally across Magnum's chest like this, like a wrestler would carry it. And he said, "I'm giving you this now. When you come back, I'm giving you the real thing." And so that was, oops, there we go. Even Flair knew that was the plan and accepted that plan. Whoops. I think that's why, because it was going to be after Dusty won it from Flair and Flair won it back from Dusty. That was the plan. So in the meantime, he feuded with Nikita, who, by the way, stayed a babyface the rest of his career after that. He just became so popular. He was widowed, then he married again, and yeah, that didn't go too well. But he did have a child, a daughter. He did do a show called Preacher's Daughters, because he is a preacher. And so is Tully Blanchard now. And that's another one they should do on Dark Side of the Ring, because it's another one where they can show that the person's life changed. You know what I mean? Next week is going to be, shoot, what did they say? The Grahams, which, if you recall, were on my list. So, but I did like that Magnum was very honest and open, even in places they glossed over, like the situation with his marriage and his ex-wife told it like it was. Wasn't faithful. And he was honest about it. Hey, I screwed up. Things were bad. And so when I got married again, I wanted to do it right. So I think that that I don't know. I just kind of felt like it moved really fast. Too fast for me, if that makes sense. Personally, I would probably give this one a B-. They probably didn't go into as much because he's still alive. Which makes me wonder what they're going to go into with Abdullah. But we'll see. What is this? This is software, right? Yep, this is software. That's music. And what's the other one over there? Or did I get rid of that? I got rid of that I'm going to get another one of these, bigger, for my games. So that's my plan. Ow. But like I said, it could have been done better. Excuse me. They didn't do any kind of update on his overall health. I mean, you could see that he rides around on something that looks like a Segway with a seat. I don't know how else to explain it. Because he is classified as a quadriplegic. That would be from the neck down. That would be all 4 limbs, arms and legs. But he is able to walk a little bit. Or was, because he walked out at the Crockett Cup. I expect next week to be sad and disturbing, because I know they both killed themselves, and from what I heard in the preview, they weren't the only ones in that family. So, yeah, that's not going to be good. But it was one of the ones that needed to be told, in my opinion. This one was, like I said, it just moved so fast. At least it felt like that to me. It reminded me almost no, not that either. But I was going to say of a WWE biography, but not really. Like I said, they could have talked about other things that they didn't, but I'll be interested to hear your thoughts and to see other people's reactions to it. To me, it was Dark Side of the Ring light. It wasn't what you expect from Dark Side of the Ring, I guess. As usual, Jericho knocked it out of the park, but then again, he always does. I'm glad they kept him. The only person I could think who could do it as well, in terms of speaking so intelligently and eloquently like Jericho does, is Christopher Daniels. He would be perfect for that. And in the case of Magnum TA, he would have had connection to it. He was a 16-year-old kid in North Carolina when it happened. And Jericho wasn't. Jericho was a 16-year-old kid in Winnipeg who didn't have access to Crockett Promotions. He didn't hear about Crockett Promotions till he started watching VHS tapes with Lance Storm. Who, although billed from Calgary, is actually from the Toronto area. And that was Crockett territory at that time. Eventually, the World Wrestling Federation got in with the Tunnies and took the basically took the territory away from Crockett Promotions. Because it was the territory they ran. And they took it away. Probably money talks, you know what walks. And David Crockett, through this whole thing, basically blames Magnum TA's accident for the downfall of the entire company. No, sir, that would be your brother's accounting practices, or lack thereof. Your brother was $2 million in debt. Magnum TA as world champion wasn't going to help that. What would have happened is you still would have closed when you did, because you didn't close for another 3 years. And Magnum TA would have gone on to the World Wrestling Federation when you closed, or stayed in WCW, but I'm not sure about that. And by the way, something interesting to note was that Magnum TA was the first wrestler that I can recall who openly used his real name. TA stood for Terry Allen, and we all knew that. We all knew that was his name. It was not a secret. And I think that was the first time that a wrestler used his real name. That he was open about what his real name was. Today, they're all open about it. I mean, I was watching an interview with Christopher Daniels that happened to be done over Zoom, and he didn't have his name on Zoom as Christopher Daniels. It was Daniel Covell. It was his name. And he probably didn't think twice about the fact that his name was going to pop up. Everybody knows his name. You know what I mean? AJ Styles has never had a problem. Yeah, AJ are my real initials. It's Alan Jones. You know? So, today is a little different in that. So yeah, it's tough. I don't think they needed to bring that out so much, although it was fairly obvious. And the name came from Magnum PI. because they said he looked like Tom Selleck. Eh. Except that he had blonde curly hair and stunning blue eyes. Tom Selleck had dark hair and brown eyes. Or has. So, they did show one picture where you could really see those blue eyes and holy cow. But yeah. But remember, the opinions expressed in this video are mine and mine alone. You may differ, but please be nice. Your opinions may differ, but please be nice. Thank you so much for being here. God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Stay safe, and if you're here in the Northeast, try to stay in, because the air quality sucks. Between the pollen and the smoke from the Canadian wildfires, and my prayers are with them, the air quality plain sucks. So, oh, I will be with you, I'll be with you tomorrow, obviously, but Saturday, I will film a little bit of the yard sale once we put it all out before it starts. That's going to be early. I think the yard still starts at 10, so I'm going to be there by 9, I would imagine. I think Stephanie might be coming tonight. Like I said, I'm looking forward to eating that spaghetti meatballs Bob brought me just as I came home last night. I literally had just walked in the door and turned off my over stove light. Thank you so much for joining me. Like I said, God bless you. Stay safe. Pray for those affected by the wildfires in Canada. God bless you. Mwah. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.